All right. Very good morning. Very good evening, everyone. Um, I hope you can hear my voice and able to see my screen. Can somebody confirm on that?
Yes, Malik.
All right. Great. Give me a sec. How about how about now? Can you guys hear me? Is it better now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. All right.
Thank you.
Please excuse me. My voice is not that clear because of the cold. But I'll try to manage it somehow. Right. So welcome to this demo sessions for this RAC course. During this 2 hours of sessions from now, if you have any questions or queries while I'm explaining any concept or topic, feel free to unmute yourself and post your questions. Or you can use the chat window here and you can keep posting your questions in the chat window. I'll be keep monitoring that. I'll take up those questions along the sessions. Right. Right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly cover 3-4 topics as part of this demo session, like architecture, networking, and file system and all. So before I cover those technical concepts, let's quickly go through some of the concept like the your instructor details, the introduction about me, and the course curriculum, course duration and fee structure, and the course timing. Three important topic, followed by the the fundamental requirement for this particular course. So we'll quickly go through 5-10 minutes and then we'll get started with the technical discussion. So during that course, if you have any questions, queries, feel free to unmute yourself and post your questions. So coming to introduction about me, I'm your instructor. I'll be the one who will be taking this entire RAC training. There won't be any third party or any other person who involved here to train you or take some sessions. Nothing like that. It's alone me. I'll be end to end covering this course. This is Mallikarjun, having 15 years of experience in the IT, and this entire 15 years I worked on various Oracle products, starting with Oracle Database Admin, Senior Oracle DBA, RAC Expert, Golden Gate Expert, and along with that, I got a chance to work on the other product as well, like Oracle Engineering System, Exadata, Exalogic, Supercluster, ZFS, JDLRA, and ODA, ODA, so many other engineering system I worked. And also I explored Oracle application side like EBS, Oracle EBS, and I worked as a Oracle EBS apps admin, and also I worked as Oracle OBI admin. And with that, so my entire 15 years are dedicated to Oracle products and Oracle field. And I have not restricted my knowledge only to the Oracle world. Whenever I got an opportunity to explore knowledge on the other field, I taken this as a challenge, and then I also worked on the other product like Informatica admin. I worked as Informatica admin, and also I worked as the other database flavors like DB2, IBM DB2, SAP HANA, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, MySQL. So those are my other database skills. I also worked on those databases as well. And with that, I have not restricted my knowledge to this database field only. I got a chance to explore more knowledge on the cloud technologies. I worked on the Oracle Cloud OCI. Also, I worked on the AWS and Azure. So those are currently running technology, booming technologies. So it is very advisable or it is very helpful and make your profile stronger if you adopt those new technologies or new skill sets. So I explored my skill sets and I learned Oracle Cloud first. And I worked on one of the project, migration projects, on-prem to cloud. And also I got a chance to work on AWS and Azure. So with that, again, few more questions. Is it necessary or mandatory to learn DevOps skills? Or it is subjected to everyone's interest. If you are interested, feel free to go ahead and then learn the DevOps skills. Very good for the automation, and you can make your day-to-day activities and make your life easy. So with that, I learned few of the DevOps skills like Cookbook, Chef, and Ansible, Terraform, and I wrote some of the automation script using a Python and shell scripting for day-to-day activities. Because as a DBA, once you log into any shift, you have to do health check of your database. Make sure that your database is available 24/7. Make sure your listener is available 24/7. Make sure that your space system, your ASM, and your instance, everything is available 24/7. So if you want to do all those checks on day by day, you're going to end up with taking 1 hour or 2 hours of your everyday time. So if you write all of them into a small automation scripts, so you can easily, the moment you log into your shift, you can run that any shell script or Python script, do a complete health check in 10-15 minutes. So with that, you can learn the DevOps skills and make your life easy by automating some of the tasks, right? So that's all about me. So I got a chance to work on dedicatedly for Oracle product, and also I got interest on the other database skills and then explored those options, and I learned other database flavors, and also I kept myself up to date by adopting or by learning the latest technologies like cloud and DevOps and all those things, right? So why I'm telling this one, you might be always hearing whenever you have a conversation with your friends or colleagues or seniors, is it mandatory to learn the cloud technologies because cloud is booming? Is it good to learn DevOps because DevOps is very good at market? Is it good to or safe to learn the other database products along with Oracle? It's all a matter of your interest and how quickly you can learn the things and how you are interested in exploring the more on the new technologies. So there is plenty of opportunities in the market if you are a Oracle DBA. First of all, Oracle DBA is a evergreen, so there won't be any the job restrictions or there won't be any less jobs or there's a there's a saying that many people will say because of the cloud the DBA jobs are going to be vanish. Nothing like that. DBA, especially in Oracle DBA, it's evergreen. There will be a lot of or plenty of opportunities in the market. But think of the competition outside. For a single job opening, there will be thousands of applications. There's a thousands of competitors. So how to beat them and how to explore your resume and how to make your resume stronger, make your profile stronger and get that particular opportunity is just like adopting the new technologies and exploring the more and more other database skill sets. Apart from that, there's nothing like that. Like if you don't learn the cloud, and you're going to miss out a lot of opportunities in the market, and your resume will not be strong. And if you don't explore other database skill sets and other DevOps skill sets, you're not going to get the new opportunities within the project or within the organization or any new company or new job you're switching for outside. You won't get that kind of opportunities easily. So just like these DevOps skills, other database skill sets, and this Oracle Cloud and all those things, it just make your resume stronger and it's going to give you a lot of job opportunities outside and make your resume stronger than your competitor or your colleagues. That's the only difference. Otherwise, the DBA job, what we're going to do, we're going to do the same task, whether you do it in Oracle Cloud, whether you do it in on-premises, and whether you do it in other database skill sets. Whatever the DBA task we're going to do, it will be remain same. Our DBA motto or DBA job is to make sure that your database is available 24/7. There won't be any downtime. Right. So that's a quick intro about me. I'm the one who will be taking this entire course end to end, and there won't be any other person involved in this. Right. I'll take a pause for a minute. If anyone has any questions or anything to know more about me or about the course, feel free to unmute and ask your questions or use the chat box here. I'll be monitoring the chat box. Call it.
Yeah, Malik, what is the DBA role in the cloud technology, cloud, Oracle Cloud?
It remains same. Whether you work, whether you manage, again, like it matters. Like I am working for a company ABC. My company is not using any Oracle product. Then there won't be any DBA job for Oracle DBAs. So you have to make sure that your company first uses Oracle product. Once your company uses Oracle product, I'm a Oracle DBA in that company. Then they migrated to either Oracle Cloud or whether they migrated to Azure. Your DBA roles are remain same. You're going to do the same database monitoring. You're going to do the same listener monitoring. You're going to do the same your space usage, your user permissions, and user creation, export, import, RMAN backup, restore recovery. Your DBA tasks are remain going to be same. There won't be any changes in that. What is changes? Your database creation, database installation. If it's on premises, you are going to set up all the servers. You're going to set up all the IPs. You're going to set up all the users permissions, and you're going to install your grid. You're going to install your database. But with the help of cloud, it's just a single click. I want database as a service. Your database will be ready. The installation part, that is automated. And apart from that, your database maintenance, administration remains same. That cannot be modified, or that cannot be automated by any cloud vendor. Oracle cannot automate your database performance, your backups, restore recoveries, and your user permissions, roles, privileges, and export import. That cannot be automated by any cloud vendors. It's all your application need, and as a DBA, we have to support our application team. So the job remains same, only that installation, configuration, or it may be some extent, if you go with Oracle Autonomous Database, even patching can be done by automatically by your Autonomous Database. But apart from that, if you go with a database as a service or database as your server and your installation, your job remains same, no changes at all.
So will you be teaching Oracle Cloud as well in future?
In future, yes. In future, yes, but not at this moment.
Okay.
All right. Let's quickly go on to the course curriculum. Let's understand the course content or the curriculum for this particular course, and then we'll go over what all the topics will be covered and how this particular course is formed. Right, so if you go to my blog, vismotechnologies, blogspot.com, and go for this particular course curriculum, or probably I can share this particular link in the chat box here. You can take a look on that. Right, I can quickly jump on the course content. So let's start with the course curriculum here. What we're going to do, we're going to first basically understand what is clusterware. So there are many keywords we'll be talking about when you are working as a Oracle RAC expert or the RAC support for any client. You will be able to get to hear, or you will be able to talk day in and day out about clusterware, ASM, grid infrastructure, and clusterware software, grid software, ASM software, and your grid home, ASM home, and all these concepts are remains one and same. It's your entire grid infrastructure. Some people will call it as a clusterware. Some people will call it as a ASM. Some people call it as a grid infrastructure. All are remain same. So we'll try to understand the basic concept about clusterware. What is ASM? What is grid? What is grid infrastructure? What's the difference between the standalone and RAC? And what are the networking involved in that? We'll try to understand in the first concept, the basic fundamental things. And followed by, we'll again furthermore go in deep and understand how this clusterware architecture is formed. What are the clusterware daemons, clusterware services? When you talk about RAC, there'll be hundreds of background process. There'll be hundreds of daemons, hundreds of cluster services. We have to make sure that understand all of them. Right now here, I have one of the lab here. I have 2-node RAC cluster setup. So if I want to quickly show few of the clusterware services, CRSCTL stat resource -t-init. CRSCTL stat resource -t. These are your clusterware resource. What is ASM? What is cluster interconnect? What is CRF? What is CRSD? What is CSSD? CSSD monitor, CTSSD, and diskmon, and ACFS drivers, EVMD, GIPCD, GPNPD, MDNSD, and storage. So these are your cluster resource. And for this cluster resource, we have a daemons at OS level. If I do ps-f grep d.bin, so all these are associated OS daemons for your cluster resource. Your OHSD, Vora agent, and Vora root agent, MDNSD, EVMD, GPNPD, EVM logger, GIPCD, CSSD monitor, OSysMonD, CSSD agent, and OCSSD, and OCTSSD, CRSD, and Vora agent and Vora root agent, and your listener. So these are your cluster daemons at OS level, and these are your cluster resource at your cluster level, GI, grid infrastructure level. And some of them are online and some of them are offline. What is the meaning of online, offline? Some of them are in observer, some of them are in stable mode. We'll understand and we'll explore more in our technical or the course, actual course. But for now, chapter 1 and chapter 2 will try to understand a fundamental understanding of the core concept of a clusterware and the difference between the standalone and RAC. And also we'll go in deep, understand and explore each and every clusterware services and clusterware daemons and how this particular cluster will be formed. What is OCR? What is voting disk? So one of the basic questions in most of the interview, what is OCR? What is voting disk? What is OLR? And those are common questions you have to answer. And then in case of OCR corrupted, what happens? In case of OLR corrupted, what happens? In case of voting disk are corrupted, what happens? What's the impact on my cluster? Is a single node is going to down or entire node is going to down? And once you understand these two concepts here, that's gonna give you some idea how this particular cluster is formed, how this OLR is gonna interact with OCR, how this voting disk is gonna interact with your OCR, how I need to take a backup of this OLR, voting disk, and OCR. And if any of these files are corrupted, what happens? Right? So those are important fundamental concepts we'll understand and we'll say it's a simple layman term. We'll understand at high level here, very first and second chapter, that how to form this particular clusterware, how this clusterware communication works. There will be network heartbeat and there will be disk heartbeat. These are the common entry questions you can face it. What is network heartbeat? What is disk heartbeat? And what is simple majority rule? What is split pane syndrome? What is cache fusion? So those are the concepts and those are the commonly asked interview questions in most of the interview, and those can be answered within this first 1 or 2 chapters because we'll cover at high level how this split pane syndrome works, how this cluster communication works, how this network heartbeat works, how this disk heartbeat is going to work, and way to monitor this network heartbeat, disk heartbeat, and how to identify, how to figure out root cause for node eviction. My cluster node got evicted. Who is responsible for evicting your cluster node? Your CSSD process is the one which is going to evict your cluster node. And then how to identify the root cause, who is evicted, how it is evicted, whether it's a disk heartbeat failure or the network heartbeat failure. Is it a disk issue or is it a network issue? Because of that, my node is got evicted. And which log to check. Right? So those are like your advanced topics will be covered in chapter number 6 or 7. But for now, at high level in chapter number 1 and 2, we'll cover basic fundamental understanding, how this RAC, how this clusterware, how this cluster communication works. And followed by in chapter number 3, we're gonna set up our labs, because once you understand the basic fundamental or concept of RAC, then you have to explore more by doing a hands-on and setting up of your own lab. So we're gonna set up a VMs, 2 VM machines we're gonna set up because we're gonna do a 2-node rack setup. For that, we're gonna set up in chapter number 4 all the IP addresses. We have a DNS server configuration, a public IP, private IP, scan IP, and VIP. So these are your common interview asked questions. What is public IP? What is private IP? What is VIP? What is scan IP? Right. So those are again basic things. Once we explore about the architecture, You'll be able to answer all of these questions. But for now, you don't know what is public IP, how it works, what is VIP, how it works, why we need a public IP, why we need a VIP, why we need a scan IP, what is scan, what's the purpose of scan, and why we need these many IPs, public IP, private IPs, and scan IPs. And one more interview questions you can get it around this IPs. I'm gonna set up 2-node RAC cluster. What are the minimum IPs needed for me? Right, so those all will be explored here in the chapter number 4, along with the configuration, whatever the 2-node VMs we're going to set up here in the chapter number 3. We're going to set up all these IP addresses here in the chapter number 4. And followed by in the chapter number 5, we're going to set up our grid infrastructure, 2-node cluster. We're going to do this 2-node RAC cluster here. What are the pre-checks? What are the post-checks? What are the users, groups, directories? What are the kernel settings, parameters? And what are the pre-configuration, post-configuration, how to set up the 2-node RAC cluster. We'll explore here in the chapter number 5. Chapter number 4 is about your Oracle home installation. We're going to do the 2-node RAC Oracle home installation. So there will be many confusion here. A GI home is a separate software, and Oracle home is a separate software. We're going to install the GI home on both the nodes, 2-node RAC, and we're going to install separate software for Oracle home on both the nodes. Once we install this GI home, once we install this Oracle home, then this chapter number 8, we're going to configure that disk groups, the ASM storage for my database creation. Right, and then once the disk groups are ready, then in chapter number 8, we're going to create a DB. The database will be running on top of this Oracle home. So these two are independent software. GI home is independent software. Oracle home is independent software. You can install only GI home. Don't install Oracle home. It's fine. And if without installing GI home, you cannot install Oracle home. So remember here, first you have to always go with the GI software. When the GI software is ready, you can install your Oracle software. Without GI software, you cannot install Oracle software. Your GI software is must for the RAC. First, you have to install GI software, make 2-node RAC cluster, 3-node RAC cluster, 4-node RAC cluster. Once that is done, go ahead and then install Oracle software. Without GI software, Oracle home is not possible. That we'll explore it on this chapter number 6. And in chapter number 8, once the Oracle software is ready, you can create your RAC database. This RAC database will be running on top of this Oracle home. You cannot create your RAC database without Oracle software. So in order to install Oracle software, first you need to install GI software. And in order to create your database, your Oracle software is must. So that's a dependency. GI software, on top of that Oracle software, on top of that, you're going to run your database. So in case of any corruption in this Oracle software, your database will crash. In case of any corruption in GI software, your entire database will crash. Your entire Oracle will not be functioning or will not be working if the GI software is not working. So that's a hierarchy, step by step. You have to understand GI software, Oracle software, and then database will be running on top of this Oracle software. Right. So we'll explore that creation, installation of Oracle database here in the chapter number 8. What are the pre-checks? What are the post-checks? How to configure? How to manage my database? And once we do this chapter number 8, then we'll start with exploring some more understanding in the chapter number 9 and 10, purely about my ASM. So how to understand this ASM fundamentals, ASM architecture, how to manage this ASM storage, how to administrate this ASM disk groups, and then how to add a disk, how to remove disk, how to create a disk group, how to drop a disk group. All will be managed and understand in detail about ASM. What is mirroring? These are the commonly asked interview questions. What is mirroring? What is high redundancy? What is normal redundancy? What is external redundancy? What is this mirroring and striping? And what is your ASM instance? What is your ASM storage? How to create SP file, P file, password file for your ASM? How to copy your password file from ASM to your local storage, and how to manage your ASM disk groups. A quick demo here on this ASM. So I have this, I can quickly take a 2 terminal. My node 1 is here and node 2 is here. So if I do a PS-AF grep SMON, I can see my ASM1 is running under this node 1. If I do PS-AF grep S1, my ASM2 is running here. So I can go to ASM storage and I can check what are the current ASM storage or current ASM disk groups and what are their redundancies. So for that, you have to log into that respective ASM owner. For my ASM owner is Oracle. I have to log into that Oracle user, set the environment to ASM, make sure that your environmental variables are set to ASM by running this env grep ora. They're going to tell what are the environmental variables are set. And you can go ASM cmd-p and do lsdg. That's your list, a disk group. It says data and reco. Data and reco having external redundancies. And then how to manage this? Like if I go inside my data, if I do lsfnltr, I have this ASM. If I go into that ASM directory, so my ASM related files, the password file. So I have this password file. How can I copy this ASM password file? This is for my ASM disk group to my local file system. If I go here under temp, I want to copy here under temp. Whatever this ASM password file I want to copy, how can I use? What's the command I can use? pw copy is the one password file copy. I can copy it from data disk group to local storage to my data disk group. So that all will be comes into picture once you understand ASM architecture, ASM fundamental, ASM storage concept, and what is mirroring, what is striping, and what is the importance of running your database on ASM, why ASM is must or mandatory or needed for my RAC database, what are the advantages. So we'll explore all those ASM concepts and ASM understanding and ASM administration in chapter number 9 and 10. And once that is done, we'll more explore on administrating of my ASM and administrating of my database, CRSCTL versus SRVCTL. If I want to manage my database, if I want to reboot my database, what's the sequence I need to follow? If I want to reboot my cluster, what's the sequence I need to follow? If I want to reboot my ASM, what is the sequence I need to follow? If I want to reboot a node, what sequence I need to follow? And then what are the use cases of my SRVCTL and CRSCTL? So I already showed few of the commands here. Let's say I'll go back again with root user. I'll set my environmental variable plus ASM1, Oracle base, Oracle home. I can run CRSCTL, stat, resource, -t, -init. So they're going to give me all the clusterware resource on node 1. So node 1, whatever the clusterware resource, everything I'm able to display using CRSCTL. And I ran with the root user. I run the same command with the respective ASM owner from node 2. And many people, many times DBAs will always get confused with whether to run the command with the root user or whether to run the command with the grid user or the Oracle user. It all comes by practice and it all comes by how much you are clear about your fundamental concept about your ASM clusterware, ASM architecture, ASM fundamental and clusterware architecture, clusterware fundamentals. Once you are strong in that, you can easily judge and you can easily identify which command can be run with Oracle user, which command can be run with the root user, which command can be run with your root user or your Oracle user or grid user. Right now, let's say this is a check CRSCTL status check command. I can run with the Oracle user or I can run with the root user, doesn't matter. If I do stop this cluster, CRSCTL stop CRS, if I'm going to use a force command and it's going to say that insufficient privileges. I cannot do this, the destructive commands like stopping your cluster, stopping your database, and all those things. Right now, let's say with Oracle users, I'm unable to stop my cluster. But if I do it here, crctl stop crs-f. With a root user, I'm able to do this one. Node 1 is going down now. Node 1 cluster services are going down now. Right, so crctl is one of the cluster control utility where we can do a lot of activities at the cluster level. And at the same time, we have a srvctl to manage any of my database. I'm going to use srvctl. So if I check here my database, right, I have many database here. Let's say I can go with the cdb2 or cdbdb or any of that. Yes, definitely. Or else I can come out of this. So right here, my cluster service went down. If I rerun the same command here, my cluster cannot be communicated with the other nodes. Your command status failed. Could not contact your Oracle high availability service. So I can, same way, I can start my cluster. crctl start crs. So we have this two important commands, crctl and srvctl, which are very, very important to manage your clusterware, to manage your database. So simple definition, again, one of the most commonly asked interview questions, what is crctl? crctl stands for cluster control utility. With the crctl, we can manage my clusterware. My clusterware, all the resources, clusterware, all the daemons, clusterware services. I can bring down and bring up my cluster. I can bring down all the cluster resources, major cluster resources I'm talking about. The cluster resources are what I displayed here. My storage, MDNSD, GPNPD, GIPCD, EVMD, Diskmon, CTSSD, CTSSD monitor, and CSSD, CRSD. These are cluster resources. To manage or maintain anything on the cluster resource, we're going to manage, we're going to use crctl. srvctl is a server control utility. So any of your database, any of your listener, any of your database instance, any of your database services, everything can be managed with your srvctl. Right? Even your VIPs, your IPs, your scan IPs can be managed using your srvctl. Whatever the cluster resource you're going to see it here, all these cluster resource will be managed with help of crctl. And other than that, whatever the other resource, database services, database listeners, your VIPs, scan IPs, and all those can be managed using srvctl. So how to reboot your database, how to reboot your cluster, how to monitor my cluster. Like one of the other common entry questions, my cluster resources are not starting. How to troubleshoot? What is your cluster startup sequence? We're going to explore cluster startup sequence, and then what are the dependencies on that? Will be explored here. Quickly, if I want to show that cluster startup sequence, so I have it here. Okay, here. This is your high-level cluster startup sequence, and there will be a lot of dependencies. They will be having a different run level, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. These are the 4-level cluster startup sequence, and each of these levels is going to start your respective cluster services and OS daemons. And then what is this hierarchy? How to identify, how to remember this cluster startup sequence? So one of the most commonly asked interview questions, can you brief about cluster startup sequence? And my ASM has the SP file inside ASM disk group. How my ASM is getting started? In order to start your ASM disk group has to mount. But in order to mount your ASM disk group, your ASM instance has to start. So both have the dependency. Then how your ASM is going to get started? Right? This will be like this. Your ASM has the SP file inside your disk group. Right? So this is a conflict between ASM and ASM startup. Like your ASM to start, go back to your basics. Any database instance or any ASM instance to start, it needs its SP file or P file. But you want to read that SP file and P file and you want to get started. Your ASM to start, it needs SP file. But your ASM SP file inside your ASM disk group. This ASM disk group will get started only after your ASM instance is started. Your ASM instance to start, it needs to read that SP file which is under ASM disk group. Both will be in a conflict. Both will be in a loop. Your ASM will be never get started. How that ASM startup sequence will be handled as part of this cluster startup sequence. So there will be kfed and kforward utility. With help of that, there will be a GP and PD profile. We're going to read that disk groups and read that SP file, start ASM instance. Once the ASM instance started, we're going to mount that ASM disk groups. So we'll explore more on that in actual classes, but these are the commonly asked interview questions. Can you brief about ASM startup sequence? How ASM will be get started if the SP file is inside the disk group? How my cluster startup sequence look like? What are the orders? What are the services get started on each level? Right, so those all will be explored in our the in-depth understanding of clusterware and architecture. That's a chapter number 11. We're also covered about the administrator or the maintenance, how you can bounce your database, how you can bounce your instances, how you can bounce your listeners. For example, if I can quickly show one more demo here, my cluster is started back now. If I do stat resource-t, right, my cluster is started back again here, and few services are not yet started here. Storage is getting started. It will take few more minutes to get started. Let it start. Right, I can quickly show one example for SLCTL. Right now I have this database here. I can log it to Oracle. I can set the environment to that CDB DB2. I can verify environmental variables are set properly by doing this env grep ora. And I have CDB DB2, Oracle base, Oracle home. I can use SRVCTL status database -d. My database name. My database name is CDBDB. So what it says, CDBDB instance 1 is not running on node 1, and CDBDB instance 2 is running on node 2. Right now I can quickly start my cluster is started. It will take few minutes, but I can forcefully start my ASM by running SQL plus this ASM. I'm going to do forcefully startup here. Again, why I'm doing this forceful startup, we can explain it in our actual regular classes, because it's going to take a few more minutes to start my clusters in a healthy manner, but I don't want to wait. So I can quickly go ahead and start my cluster. Cancel this one, check now status. So now most of the things are online. I have to wait for a few more seconds. So my one database instance is started. I have to wait for other database instance to come up. So all database instances are came up now. So my cluster node 1, I have rebooted, means it's not a server reboot. My cluster service I rebooted. I did a stop CRS, all the service went down. Now I did a start cluster service, all the database instance, everything is back online. When I use this SRVCTL, it says instance 1 was not running because my cluster services are down. Now my cluster services are back online. If I want to check the status now, it says CDB1 is back online on node 1. So using SRVCTL, you can manage your database from any of the cluster nodes. So I can do this stop database. SRVCTL stop database -d, and then it will be shut down your instance 1, instance 2 on node 2 and node 1. Both the instances will be down using SRVCTL. So again, one of the commonly asked interview questions, if I do SRVCTL stop database, is it going to do shut abort, shut immediate, shut transactional, shut normal? Like we know that these are the shutdown modes: shutdown, abort, normal, transactional, immediate. What option this SRVCTL is going to use for my database? So it's all will be configurable. So if I can check what is the current configuration, CDB DB instance 1. So right now my database is shut down here. If I check the status again, my instance 1, instance 2 is not running on node 1 and node 2. And if I answer to that question, what configuration it has set up here, I can do sysctl config. Config is a command to get all the details. It says here sysctl config, what is the database unique name, database name, Oracle home, Oracle owner, where is the SP file, where is the password file. Password file is not set. You can go and then set the password file. And if you see here, stop option is immediate. The moment I use this command, stop database, it has gracefully shut down my database instance with a shutdown option. Stop option is immediate. It doesn't shut immediate. If I make it a shutdown option as abort, it will do this sysctl stop command will be always shut down my database with the abort command. So it is all configurable parameters. You can do it. Again, this will be covered as part of the administration here, chapter number 11. At chapter number 12, we'll go more understanding on the cluster level, my OLR, voting disk, OCRs, VIPs, CAN IPs, public IPs, private IPs, and public network, private network, cluster services, cluster resources, cluster daemons, and how to back up this OLR, voting disk, OCR. In case of corruption, what's the impact on that? And then how to manage that. So this all at cluster level, chapter number 12. And chapter number 13 is coming to my database side. So database specific, what are the RAC specific parameters? What are the RAC specific background process? What's the SP file and P file for my RAC databases? And what are the redo logs, control files, data files, and undo, temp, users? Whether it will be shared between both instances or whether it will be unique for each instances, all will be at your database specific. How to manage your RAC database, how to add a data file, how to add your redo log file, how to add your control file, how to create a password file, how to create a SP file, and what are the RAC specific parameters. And one commonly asked interview questions, how to identify whether my database is a RAC database or the standalone database. So there will be various methods to identify. We'll explore more on that. We'll specify this chapter number 13 only for your database administration. And chapter number 14 is about your backups and recoveries. How you can back up your RAC database. You have a level 0 Sunday backup, level 1 incremental backup, and you have backup type as a backup set or image copy. And what are absolute backup? What is expired backup? And how to improve my backup performance? What is BCT, blockchain tracking? Where I can run my backup? Is it on RAC, node 1 or node 2? Can I run my backup on both the nodes? Can I run my backups on VIPs? Can I run my backups on services? How to improve my backup performance? How to improve my restore performance? What are my restore options? RMAN duplicate, RMAN clone, RMAN active database duplicate, RMAN duplicate using backups, RMAN restore and recover. How to restore my control file? How to restore my system data file? How to restore my syslog data file? There's a block corruption in my data file. How to recover them? How to validate my backups are no corruption, my backups are valid. How to write a small shell script to take this level 0 and level 1 backup and how to schedule them using a cron job. So all will be covered in the backups. And what are the channels? How to allocate the channels for my backups? What are the consideration I need to take care of during the backups? Will be covered in this chapter number 14. Chapter number 15 is for the networking. Networking meaning database connectivity. So there will be various listeners. I can think there will be 5 to 6 listeners. Your grid listeners, your ASM listeners, your database listeners, your scan listeners, your local listeners, your remote listeners, and your ASM net listeners. What are these listeners? Why we need so many listeners? What is listener.ora file? What is tnsname.ora file? How it will be look like for my RAC database? How to configure your listeners at your cluster level? Right? For example, I might be configured already cluster level listeners, I can quickly show that one here. Let's go with a single window. If I do CRCTL stat resource -t -init, it will gonna tell you only the cluster resource. If I remove this -init, it will gonna show you all the cluster node details. For example, here CRCTL stat resource -t, it says local resource. Locally on this node, I have a listener, grid listener, or the ASM listener. I have this listener prime DB. I have this prime DB listener. I have this listener RAC 12C DB. So I have this RAC 12C DB listener. These are your local listener, but configured at your cluster level. So I can set the environment to this one. Oracle. I'm going to set the environment to RAC 12C1, SRVCTL status database -d, RAC 12C. I can see RAC 12C1, RAC 12C2, two instances are running here, and associated listeners are running here, TNS. So I have this listener RAC 12C running for this RAC database, and that listener is configured at my cluster level here. So I can do ls-nrctl status, my listeners. So right now, using this ls-nrctl, I can able to monitor my listeners locally on this node 1. The same listener, if I configure at my cluster level here, I can use srvctl status listener -l and my listener name. So I can use srvctl to monitor my listener on both the nodes. Listeners running on node 1 and 2. I can do stop, start, configure, and modify using srvctl modify command. I can modify whatever I wanted. I can do srvctl config to check what is the current config for this particular listener. What are the owner, what is the Oracle home, what is the port, and you can customize whatever you wanted for that listener. Right. So similarly, we have ASM listeners, scan listeners, your local listener, remote listener, how to configure them, how to manage them, where are the logs are located for that. My scan listeners are not starting, what to check, what to troubleshoot. My scan, one of the scan, what is the scan? One of the importance of the scan is to balance the load balancing, balance the load across your all cluster nodes. My scan is not properly load balancing. All the end user connections are going to node 1. What is the issue? How to troubleshoot that? These are your commonly asked interview questions. So we'll understand more on this listener scan concept and scan load balancing, how to monitor, maintain your scan listeners, where to check the logs. We'll explore in the chapter number 15. Chapter number 16 is about a multi-tenant architecture, CDBs and PDBs. How to create your CDB, how to create your PDBs, how to clone your PDBs, how to manage my CDBs and PDBs. Where is my SP file and P file, control file, redo log files, arclog files, data files for my CDBs and PDBs? How to monitor my end user connection? My end user connections are going to CDBs or my end user connections are going to PDBs? Where to monitor those connections? Where are the alert logs for my CDBs and PDBs? How can user or end user or the sys user can connect to my CDBs and PDBs? So how to clone my CDB from one, how to clone my PDB from one CDB to another CDB? How to clone from my remote CDBs? How to convert your non-CDB as a PDB? So all will be explored on this chapter number 16. Again, you might be already aware, CDBs and PDBs, this multi-tenant architecture is going to be future, and all the Oracle is pushing, all the Oracle intention or Oracle future focus is on multi-tenant architecture. Starting with the 21C onwards, there won't be normal database concept. 21C onwards, it's all about multi-tenant architecture, CDBs and PDBs. No more a normal database. Till your 12C, your 18C, and your 19C, when you're creating a database, you have an option whether you want to create a database as a normal DB or multi-tenant DB. But when you're starting with the 21C, There won't be option like that. Always default will be multi-tenant database. So every DBA, each and every DBA, we have to extend our knowledge, understand CDB, PDB concept, and used to it for this maintenance, administration, understanding of multi-tenant architecture. Because if the future comes, starting with this 21C, if I don't update myself to CDBs and PDBs, I will not be getting any job opportunities. Because whatever you go, starting with 21C and 23C or 23 AI, all are about multi-tenant architecture, no normal database concept at all. Right, we'll explore more on this multi-tenant architecture on chapter number 16. And chapter number 17 is about ACFS, ASM cluster file system. So ASM cluster file system is kind of whatever, like for example, if I go to my ASM storage here, I already showed ASM storage 2 minutes back here, right? Where was that? Okay, here. I have this data disk group which has a 8 GB RAM, 8 GB storage here, free space. Out of this 80 GB, we have left it only 8 GB. Remaining 73 GB is used. This RICO ASM storage or ASM disk group, which has a 40 GB, out of that 32 GB is used. Remaining 8 GB is left. So I can take 4 GB from this data disk group. I can mount it as a local mount point, like slash export. Or I can use slash script, some automation. I want script. So I can write my small shell script and I can keep it under this mount point. For that, I'm going to allocate 4 GB mount point. For this, I need to engage Linux admin to mount this script location. He has to allocate 4 GB and then mount it. So to avoid that Linux admin dependency, I can take 4 GB out of this 8 GB. I can take 4 GB and I can mount it whatever mount point I want it for myself. So if I mounted whatever this Linux server node 1, Linux server node 2, all the cluster node, I can see this mount point mounted automatically. I no need to use no more NFS. I can use my ASM storage as an NFS mount point by using ACFS, ASM cluster file system. Right, so that is one of the advantages when it comes to ACFS. So we'll understand ACFS file system, how to create ACFS file system, how to can mount it on both the cluster nodes, how to manage, how to administrate, and in case of that ACFS file system is full, how to increase that file system size. Right now I created 4 GB mount point. I can go ahead and increase it to 6 GB. It's an online activity, how to do that one. So all we explore on this ACFS file system. And RAC one node, again, this is a special type of database. Let's say, so in standalone, we have standalone without ASM, standalone with ASM. We have two databases here. Standalone without ASM called single instance, and standalone with instance with ASM is called as a Oracle restart service. This is for the standalone, which will be covered in our database course. But in case of RAC course here, RAC course, we have two types of databases. One is a real RAC database, another one is RAC one node. So RAC one node is a special type of database which will be running on only one instance on any one of the cluster node. If that cluster node goes down, automatically that database will be started to another node. So in simple definition, let's say I have, let's say 4 node RAC cluster. My ASM1 will be running here, ASM2 will be running here, ASM3 will be running here, ASM4 will be running here. My RAC database instance 1, RAC database instance 2, RAC database instance 3, RAC database instance 4. This is your RAC database. So we have RAC database one node, RAC one node database. So RAC one node database will be like T_1, T_2, T_3, T_4. So instance naming convention will be _1, _2, _3, _4. So any one instance will be running, remaining all will be down. If this particular node goes down, this instance will go down, automatically this instance will be up. or this instance will be up, or this instance will be up. Any one will be automatically started. That's a rack one node. Again, why we need rack one node? What are the advantages? And then there's the online relocation. From here to here, I can relocate, or from here to here, I can relocate. That will explore more on this our regular classes, but that's a special type of database in the rack. Right, we'll explore more on the patching. When it comes to rack patching, you have to patch your ASM home, you have to patch your Oracle home, and you have to patch your database. 3 steps: ASM patching, database home patching, and your database patching. We're going to use the different tools: OPatch for my ASM patching and database home patching. For my database patching, I can use DataPatch. So there will be a couple of multiple questions in this patching. What is OPatch? What is OPatch auto? What is DataPatch? Can I run the multiple DataPatch? Can I run the multiple OPatch? And when it comes to rack, what is rolling patching and what is non-rolling patching? And how to minimize the downtime? What is out of place patching? And then what are the prerequisites before we proceed with the patching? What happens if the patching fails? Can I resume my patching? And then, so if I do patching on one of the rack cluster node, what are the prerequisites I need to take care of? What are the backups I need to take care of? But there will be a lot of understanding on that. OPatch versus OPatch auto, manual patching versus automatic patching, and my Clusterware patching, my ASM patching, Oracle home patching, and database patching, data patch. All those will be explored on this particular patching here. And one of the common question is how to minimize the downtime. What is rolling patching and non-rolling patching? And what is out of place patching? Can I do out of place patching for my grid? Can I do out of place patching for my Oracle home? Can I run the multiple OPatch auto, multiple OPatch, multiple data patch? My data patch is stuck. My OPatch is stuck. What to do? And when it comes to patching, there will be a lot of concepts like central inventory and local inventory. What is central inventory? What is local inventory? Where this patch information can be found. And when it comes to patching, there will be 4 typical patching exercise: patch assessment, patch plan, patch pre-check, and patching window. So each of them will be explored in details. And again, when you do a patch pre-check, we do something called patch conflict check, patch analysis. So that is very, very important. We'll explore more on this patching. And then chapter number 20 is about your upgradation, how you can do your RAC database upgrade from 11G to 19C upgrade, 12C to 19C upgrade. What are the various database upgrade process? What are the pre-checks and post-checks? Like database upgrade process are like your silent mode, command line mode, or the manual database upgrade, or your DBUA, database upgrade assistant, GUI mode, or your 19C auto upgrade. And you can do your database upgrade using a Perl script. You can do your database upgrade using shell script. And what are these different various options? Which is the best database upgrade approach? And how to minimize the downtime for my database upgrade? Can I do my database upgrade online? Can I do my database upgrade in rolling? Is it needs a downtime for my database upgrade? What are the pre-checks and post-checks? My database upgrade is kind of a stuck. What to do? My database upgrade is taking more time. How to reduce that database upgrade downtime? And what is the restore point? What is the guarantee restore point during my database upgrade? In case of my upgrade fails in the middle, how to flash back my database? What's the importance of restore point, guarantee restore point during the database upgrade? Right, so all will be explored here in this database upgrade. And along with that, we will cover that restore point, guarantee restore point, flashback log, my FRA, and my database upgrade is taking more time. What might be the culprit? What might be the cause? In the chapter number 20, we can explore. And chapter number 21 is the node addition and node removal. Very important one. Again, not regularly done activity, or not everyone will get a chance to do this activity. Let's say we're going to do live demo on this. Right now, I have a node 1, node 2, 2 node rack, my ASM 1, my ASM 2, my database instance 1, my database instance 2 will be running. And I'm going to add third node, node 3, where I'm going to run ASM 3, my database instance 3. So I'm going to add this new node, node addition, and later I can remove this node. That's a node removal. How to add node addition, node removal online without impacting your currently running business, currently running database instance, currently running your ASM instance. how you can do this node addition, node removal. We'll do a live practical demonstration. And chapter number 22 is the conversion. Right now, let's say you have node 1, you have ASM is running and your database is running. You want to convert this as a RAC database. Node 1, node 2, ASM1, ASM2, database instance 1, database instance 2. You want to convert your standalone database to RAC database. What are the various methods? You can run DBCA, you can use an enterprise manager, you can use rconfig, you can convert your single standalone database to RAC, or you can do vice versa. You can convert RAC database to standalone database. All can be done using various methods. Even you can use rman restore recover method or rman duplicate method to do this standalone to RAC or RAC to standalone. All will be possible. And even file system to RAC or RAC to file system. How to do that can be done using rconfig or your rman or your OEM. All those will be explored on this chapter number 22. Right. So that concludes the entire course curriculum, what is formed. Again, there'll be a couple of questions. I got it from my previous batches as well, and I'm going to clarify here. So we are not going to cover anything related to performance tuning or anything related to your wait events, anything related to your AWR report or your ADDM report or ASH report. It's a complete RAC administration course. Will be covered only administration part. Anything you are looking for a performance tuning related stuff, so those will not be covered. Not even for standalone or not even for the RAC. This is not for the performance tuning. So there's a separate course, maybe next year, 2025, will be starting with the performance tuning. So that performance tuning course will cover your standalone and RAC together. What are the performance tuning, the basic checks or performance tuning checks can be done for the standalone and RAC database. That's a separate course. But for in this course, we'll not be covering anything on the performance tuning. We'll not be covering anything on the data guard. We'll not be covering anything on the golden gate. We'll not be covering anything on the OEM. We'll not be covering anything on the Oracle Cloud. Those are your advanced topics or advanced course will be covered as extra or the special course or the new courses. But in this course, as a RAC administrator or the RAC expert, as a RAC DBA, you are working for any client, what are your administrative activities you are want to or you are performed to do day to day? That will be put out all together here, and then I form this particular course. So with that, once the course is completed, we'll be covering some extra topics like your resume writing and cover letter preparation. I'm going to take my own resume as example. I'll be going through my resume and then I'll be highlighting what are the key points you have to specify in the resume to make your resume stronger. I'll brief through my own resume and I'll save that resume for sample format. You can refer the same. And the end of this course, we'll be conducting the mock interview. Again, it is subjected to everyone interest. Who are interested, go ahead and then register for that mock interview. I'll be connecting with them and I'll be conducting like 30 minutes or 45 minute sessions. I'll be asking interview as if it's kind of a real-time interview. And I'm going to try to measure how much you prepared for this particular interview. So in case of if you make any mistake, I'll be giving some advice at the end of the session itself. So again, it is not a mandatory one. It is everyone's interest. If you are interested, you can register for that. And then each and every topic will be covered with what are the most commonly asked interview questions. So also in our Google Drive, we have hundreds of thousands of questions already posted and with answers. You can just refer that single document and if you are preparing for any interview. Once you prepare for that particular document, you can able to answer any of the questions or you can able to easily crack the interview. Right? So that's pretty much what is covered in this particular course. I'll give it a pause for a minute if anyone has any questions or queries for 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to take it. Anyone Any questions so far?
Hi, Malik.
Yep.
Will be covering any restore point creation topic here?
Yes, that's part of your upgrade. We'll be covering that restore point, guarantee restore point, what are the advantages, why, how to flashback in case of upgrade fails. That'll be chapter
And
number 20.
okay, thank you, Malik. And one more question. What is the difference between the daemon and process? We have discussed in the Clusterware part, right? OS daemons. So is that
OS daemons is equal to your OS process.
it's a Clusterware term?
Yeah, there will be two options. Your cluster resource mapped to your OS daemon. OS daemons are nothing but your OS processes. Whatever I showed here, these are your OS daemons. Whatever ends with the .bin, these are the daemons. Daemons are nothing but your OS processes. These are your OS process IDs. So this OS daemons or OS process are mapped to your cluster resource. These are your cluster resource here.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Malik.
Yep.
Do you teach Exadata?
No.
Okay.
No Exadata.
Hi, Malik, Pawan here.
Yeah,
Malik,
Pawan.
is there any migration project involved in this batch, like non-CDB to CDB?
Yes, we have that one. As part of our CDBs and PDBs, we're going to cover that non-CDB to CDB. Ideally, one of the interview questions, non-CDB, how we can convert it as a CDB. So answer is no. Oracle will not support non-CDB database migration or conversion as a CDB. So what you can do, non-CDB, you can migrate or convert it as a PDB.
Okay.
This is the only supported option. You can convert your non-CDB as a PDB.
Thanks, Malik.
And that will be covered in chapter number 16.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Malik, good morning. I have a question.
Yeah.
As many organizations are moving towards cloud space, so how do you see working on-prem Oracle as an Oracle database administrator going to take place in future? I mean, is it still in demand, or we're going to slowly a company moving slowly towards cloud? So do you need to learn cloud at this moment?
I already covered in very first first 5-10 minutes itself. What is a cloud?
Sorry,
Why we need?
oh, sorry, I joined a little late.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So
Okay.
again, if you can refer these sessions again, you'll understand more. But to answer to your questions, your DBA jobs are evergreen. So this is the first questions in the first 10 minutes I covered. So many people will say that cloud is a booming technology. Cloud is a booming in market. So with the help of this cloud, is there any reduction in our DBA job? Is our DBA jobs are going to vanish in future? So I already answered that one. Answer is no. The DBA jobs remain same. Whatever we do, export, import, RMAN, backup, restore, recovery, user creation, permission, grant, privileges, and your DR setup, everything remains same. DBA job is never going to vanish. With the cloud, what is going to vanish? Few of the normal day-to-day activities or normal fundamental concept, what we used to do it, those will be automated. For example, we used to set up the server. We used to set up all the kernel parameters. We used to install Oracle Home. We used to create database. That all will not be there anymore. With the cloud, you can go to UI, click on the single button, your database is ready. So those kind of small activities can be automated with the cloud. But other than that, whatever the database administration, maintenance activity we used to do it, it remains as it is. No vendor, no cloud vendor can do your export import activity automation. No cloud vendor can do your user creation, permission, privileges. No vendor can do your RMAN backup, restore, recoveries automation. It's all need your DBA help. What is automated? The database installation, database patching can be automated. But other than that, your database administration, database maintenance, and your database availability 24/7, it has to be managed by your DBA. right? So with that, learning the cloud technology is always one of the key advantages. Already answered in very beginning. It will going to keep your profile up to date. It will keep your profiles very strong. And looking at the outside competitor for a single openings or single positions, there will be thousands of resumes, thousands of candidates competing each other. So once you extend your knowledge in the cloud, extend your knowledge in the DevOps, extend your knowledge to other database skills like MySQL, PostgreSQL, IBM DB2, SAP HANA, MongoDB. So your resume will be very strong, and you can easily grab that opportunities, and you can easily stand up to date in the market. Right? That's the advantages of that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Also, I know this RAC technology is bit for beginners is complicated, but like once you complete this session, so is there any chance if someone wants to join your next batch, will that
Yeah,
be available to
yes,
join? I
you
mean,
can do that.
do that. Okay, thank you.
Hi,
Hello,
Malik.
Malik.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question regarding OCA, AWS, and Golden Gate. Is there any chance to start in upcoming days?
Right now, my next course will be performance tuning, and
Okay.
after that, next course will be Oracle Cloud.
Okay.
Also,
Thank
uh, Malik is like there are many beginners or some are already working, so they want to learn this technology. That's sometimes what happens. Like once the course is done, we run into issues. Like we
We'll
try
cover
to
that one.
understand.
No, I got your point. I'll cover that. A few more concepts here. Once I complete, then you will understand more of that. Please stand by for that. I'll answer to that
Oh,
question.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was
Hi.
just going to ask, like, do you have a community where we can get
Yes, yes,
connected
yes.
always? I mean, not for this duration, for one
No,
month or
no,
two
I
months.
know that. I know
Yeah,
that.
so
I
that.
have these questions here. I can cover that. There's a dedicated WhatsApp group, so you can
Okay.
ask any questions, queries, and this is a lifetime group, and then you can get a support for your ongoing project or any company you're working. You need some help and advice. You can always post the questions. That's only for the registered students.
Okay, I understand. Also, I know you will be too busy, but will you be
Yeah.
able to answer some of the question if needed? I mean,
Yes.
uh,
Anytime.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Malik.
Uh,
This is Pawan.
Yeah.
Will you be covering this SSL renewal activity and wallets?
No. Your TDE, wallet, your SSL, all those be your advanced courses. So that will not be covered here.
Hi,
Okay.
Malik.
Maybe in upcoming sessions,
We
you will.
we already have a lot of extra session. Like again, these are the special topics will be covered based upon who are all interested. So if everyone like interested, I can like already conducted like for example OEM. I have taken one or two extra session with my previous batch, and last year I have taken some wallet sessions, how to configure your wallet for your PDBs and CDBs, and I have taken some extra sessions on the RAC to standalone data guard setup and standalone to RAC data guard setup. I have taken some extra sessions on the OEM configuration. So these sessions are already available on our Google Drive. So those are like extra sessions. I can grant the access. Probably who are interested, they can go and then watch them. So that's how it works. But again, this is if anyone interested, then only will be taken it as extra course by combining a few batches, and who are interested, they can join.
Yeah, sure. Since in my environment, that SSL wallet, TD wallet is there, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, SSL, I have not taken any session, but needed I can take it if who all are interested.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Malik. Are you going to conduct any MongoDB? Are you going to teach any MongoDB classes?
No, not at this point.
Malik, can you do a DNS setup on using VM? I mean, I know we have
Yeah,
never
VM
used that
only.
on VM.
Yes, VM
Uh,
only.
no, I was talking about like the DNS or setting up a DNS server on separately for rack installation. So generally we don't do that, right? We just
We
uh,
don't need it. It's the
mhm.
same process. Even if you do a separate server or the same node one itself, it's the same process. No changes at all. Again, it is provided if you have
Okay.
a more resource on your laptop, you can do that one.
Hmm. Okay. So that setup you will be showing us, right?
Right,
DNS setup.
right.
Okay. Fine.
All right. Let's pause it for a minute. I can quickly cover a few more topics and then I'll again open it for the question. Right. So that's the chapter, the point number 2, the course curriculum, what I just briefed, and quickly go over the course curriculum and duration. Like whatever I just explained, like if you are looking for any new upcoming batch and all, you can always watch this particular links here. I'm gonna ping it in the chat here. Quickly, give me a second. I'm gonna post it in the chat here. Please take a note of that. So if you can go to my blog, it will be always upcoming batch details. So this is the batch what I'm gonna start it, and if there's any new batch coming in Feb or March, will be posted here with the date and time. You can keep monitoring this one if you're unable to join this batch. So the actual class, like today and tomorrow, are the 2 demo sessions. What we are taking it, and the actual class is going to start in 4th Jan 2025, New Year. So the timings are remain same, 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. IST, 12:30 p.m. IST, 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Friday, because it's a weekend batch, only Saturday and Sunday. 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday. It's in IST time zone, 8:30 a.m. IST to 12:30 p.m. IST. In EST time zone, it will be 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. It will be midnight for them, little late. But again, if you're not able to make it, probably you can watch the recordings. On the same day, the sessions will be recorded and uploaded. You can watch the recording anytime. So there'll be a slight time or date difference. When I mean Saturday, Sunday in IST, it'll be Friday and Saturday for EST time zone. So it'll be 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. midnight for the EST time zone. So it'll be 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday. And we should be able to complete in 5 to 6 weekends, max 6 weekends, not more than that. And this is a paid training. Course fees is 15K INR, Indian rupees, or 185 US dollars. Will be conducted online via Zoom session, and it will be covered with the 19C version. We're not going to cover anything on at 11G or 12C. It will be based on 19C version. Right. With that, I think who are interested, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number, or ping me on my cell, or call me on my cell number, or you can drop me an email. The details are here. I'm going to ping it in the chat here. Take a note of this WhatsApp number or cell number or email ID, and I can drive through the registration process. I think we already got around a few students. They are all part of the WhatsApp group. I have added all of them into WhatsApp group who are all already registered and made a payment. And for them, I already granted the access on the Google Drive. And then they're all watching the previous batch recording. Once you make a payment and confirm or register for this course, will be added to WhatsApp group. All the communications will happen in that WhatsApp group. This is a dedicated WhatsApp group only for registered students, where you can ask any questions, queries, not only related to this course. You have attended any interview and you got some technical challenge questions, you can post it over there. Or you're doing some activity in your organization, you need some assistance and some help, you can just take a screenshot and post your questions over in that WhatsApp group. Anyone can answer. Otherwise, I'll be there, always keep monitoring the groups. I'll be answer to your questions or queries. Again, these are like lifetime accessible group, provided you can keep this group active. So you can post any questions there.
Hi Malik. Can we make the
Give me a second. I'll take a question. So that's about the WhatsApp group. It will be only for the registered candidate or the students. And at the same time, once you make a registration, and you'll get access on the Google Drive, where in that Google Drive you can get this all the Google Drive link 1, 2, 3, 4. The link 1 is for all the course materials, all the PPTs, lab exercise, workbook, all the ready labs, all the ready rack setup, and all will be available here. And link 2 will be all your other information, like all the software tools, interview questions, automation scripts, and all of them will be available here. And link 3 will be your previous batch recording. Like since this is a weekend batch, only Saturday, Sunday will be conducted. I want to complete this course in a fast track within 1 week. we'll be provided access to previous batch recording. You can go on and watch the previous batch recordings well in advance. You can prepare yourself and you can attend the live classes. So during the live classes, you can make it interactive and ask a lot of questions over there. So you'll be getting access on the previous batch recording, and also you'll be getting access on the current batch recording. Everyday sessions will be recorded and uploaded on the same day. In case if you miss it, you can always feel free to watch that back, and then you can post any questions in our group, or during the next weekend, you can open up all those questions. Right. So that's about the Google Drive and WhatsApp group. So these are lifetime accessible. So you can get the accessible on the lifetime. There won't be any restriction. Even you can download this material locally into your laptop, no restrictions. And even you can access them through Google Drive. All will be available for lifetime access. And WhatsApp group also will be lifetime support. You can always post any question. Right. So that is only for the registered students who are registered. They'll be part of the group and they'll be getting access. And you can feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number or my email ID for the further payment processing and registration process. I can guide you through. And with that, so there will be one important topic. What are the minimum requirements who are eligible for this particular course? And the very first thing is, if you are a new to this database field, you don't know anything on database, you are coming from non-IT background to IT background, you are switching from your other domain like Java or .NET or your networking domain to database. So this is not the course for you guys, because first you have to understand your database basics or database knowledge. You have to first learn your database foundation, and then you can come to this RAC course. So without prior background on the database, Oracle architecture, this RAC course is not meant for you. Because when I explain about RAC specific background process, and if you ask what is S1, what is P1, what is DB rater, what is log rater, that will be part of your core fundamental basic knowledge on database architecture. We have separate core database architecture. So you have to register for that and first complete your database course and come to this RAC course. And with this RAC course, if you have already having knowledge on database and you're already working as a DBA for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, or for 10 years, doesn't matter. You can join, I can enroll this particular course. And if you're already working as some other database skills like IBM DB to SAP HANA or MongoDB, PostgreSQL, again, this course is not for you. You have to first learn database basics, core Oracle database architecture, and then only you can come here. With the core Oracle database architecture knowledge, even if you are having 1 year experience, 10 year experience, 15 years of experience, doesn't matter. You can enroll for this RAC course. This is an advanced course on top of that, a core Oracle database course. And if you have basics of Windows, Linux, SQLs, again, that will be more important. If you are already working as a basic, you are already knowing the basic or core fundamental database architecture, you will be knowing all these basics of Linux. Again, if you don't know, not to worry. As part of this RAC course, whatever needed will be covered basics. But yeah, with the database knowledge, you will be knowing all this basic stuff. And on top of that, other important key point is, another important key point is the lab setup. The lab setup will be done using Oracle VirtualBox on your own individual laptop or desktop. But for that, you should have minimum 20 GB RAM, a minimum 100 GB or 150 GB SSD disk. If you don't have this hardware requirement on your laptop or desktop, you will not be able to do this lab setup. If you don't do the lab setup, then you will not be able to do a hands-on. Whatever I am teaching, you will be able to grasp it and you will be able to understand it. But without you do hands-on lab exercise, you will not get that confidence level. So only way to get a confidence on each and every topic is to by performing the hands-on lab exercise. For that, you should need minimum 20 GB RAM and 100 GB hard disk. And you have to make sure that before enrolling this course, you are going to meet this particular minimum hardware requirement. And in case if you are unable to do this lab setup, you're unable to extend your RAM or you're unable to buy a new laptop or desktop, so still you want to enroll for this course because you are looking for some change or you are looking for some new job opportunities, and I'm okay if I want to study theoretical part and whatever the practical demo I'm showing it, you're okay to watch that and go ahead and then register for this course and then understand. Like again, as I showed, when I'm explaining it, when I'm showing it a demo, you can easily understand and you can easily grasp the things, but you have to put a lot of effort to remember that things. You can easily forget that whatever you are going to see it when I teach and when I show it as a demo. But when you do a real hands-on, then that will be permanently, you can remember that things forever. So hands-on is very, very must for any DBS. Right, so that is a course curriculum or the course duration or the course timing. The weekend batch, only Saturday, Sunday classes, 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday. And 5 weekends we're going to complete it. And it's a paid training, 15K INR or $185 US dollar. And it will be online 19C version. And these are the minimum requirement. And this is about the Google Drive link access. You'll be getting access on the post registration. Once you do a registration and make a payment and confirm me back, I'll be getting access on the Google Drive and I'll be adding you to WhatsApp group. Already we got a couple of students and they're part of the WhatsApp group, and they're already watching the previous batch recordings. Again, somebody asked the question about the support. We have this dedicated WhatsApp group. You can post, I can use this WhatsApp group for any kind of questions or any kind of a support. You can use this single WhatsApp group. And this is the minimum requirement. Make sure that you know the prior database knowledge. That's Oracle database knowledge. And you have this minimum hardware requirement. And if you're okay with the compromising, I don't want to do a hands-on, I'm okay, I want to do a fast track, go ahead and register for this course. Right. So I'll take a pause here for a minute. If somebody has a questions, feel free to ask now.
I'm like, I need to know that mode of the payment and registration.
I'll again for the payment for registration, you can ping me on my WhatsApp number. I can
Yes,
ping you
I
to
already pinged. Can you please review later?
all right, I can do that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. There's one question in the chat here. I'm having mic issue. Okay, fine. I texted already working with Oracle DBA and saying Oracle DBA jobs are fading. Again, I answered these questions. Oracle DBA jobs are fading out, vanishing due to automation. Again, I already covered in the very beginning. You can just refer this session again back. So there won't be any impact on our DBA jobs because of the cloud technologies, because of the DevOps technologies, or because of the new technologies, whatever coming. Oracle DBA jobs are evergreen. And if you believe me or not, Oracle has recently announced Oracle database support on Azure and Oracle database support on AWS. And you might have seen how Oracle stock price has been increased. So I can quickly show one. Like if I can just take 1 month or like 6 months here, and here somewhere in September 6th, it was 140, and all of a sudden it went up to 170, 180. What's the reason? 190 it went here in November. From 140 till 190, the Oracle stock price is sudden jump because Oracle is now supporting Oracle database as a service is supporting on multiple cloud vendors, your Azure, AWS. With that, Oracle is becoming bigger and bigger now. Oracle is growing more and more. So Oracle DBA jobs are always evergreen. Whether any cloud technology is coming up, whether it's a Oracle Cloud, EBA, Oracle Cloud, AWS and Azure, any cloud vendors or any DevOps skills, it's not going to impact any reduction in the Oracle jobs. It's not going to vanish your Oracle DBA support or DBA job. Oracle DBA job is evergreen and it will be there forever. DBA support is must and mandatory for your database administration, your database maintenance. And nobody can do your export and import. Nobody can do your RMAN backup and restore. Nobody can do your user administration, user privileges, user permissions. It's all will be managed by a pure DBA. DBA jobs are must. Again, I just explained, what is becoming automated? Some of the activities, whatever DBA used to do, it's all now automated. Like, database creation, it's no more database creation. Just go to cloud login, just click, your database is ready. Right, so that is only few tasks will be automated, but apart from that, your DBA jobs remains as it is. Right, so there is one more question from Raghu. Oracle EBS, App DBA versus Core DBA. Right, again, if you are core Oracle DBA, then you can easily learn Oracle EBS, App DBA. Let's say it will be like this. If I can take one session here, how this hierarchy goes. Any organization, first a DBA. This is a core fundamental skill set. You have to learn DBA. First, you have to understand Oracle core DBA and you have to work as the Oracle DBA. On top of that, you have to learn RAC. RAC is the advanced on top of the DBA. If you are a DBA, you can work 1 to 4 years of experience. And the moment you cross 4 years, 5 years of experience, the industry expert, you should know the RAC. Once you learn the RAC, then you can have an option to choose which area you want to grow. You want to grow into apps, like for example, you can do EBS or OBI. Right, so you cannot learn directly EBS or OBI without knowing DBA, without knowing RAC. So this EBS and OBI, this EBS app DBA first needs basic foundation of your database, basic foundation of RAC, plus you're going to learn some application side. EBS is a Oracle application and you have to learn that application where you have to do some patching, ADOP patching in EBS, and you have to learn forms, you have to learn your concurrent manager. There'll be applications along with the database setup, you have to do application setup as well. And you have to maintain your application as well. Along with the database maintenance, you have to maintain your application as well. So that is your extra step on top of the DBA and RAC skill set. You're going to do this EBS. And believe me, EBS is one of the powerful tool in Oracle. And if you are a EBS app DBA, there will be huge opportunities in the market. And always the salary scale comparison between the DBA and RAC DBA, EBS app DBA salary scale will be always very, very higher than this DBA and RAC DBA. And you can choose your skill set, your career path to migrate to EBS, or you can go to some other skill set like your Exadata or your Golden Gate, or you can go with the OEM expert. So you can extend your knowledge to a particular field like Exadata, Supercluster, Exalogic, or Golden Gate, OEM, and these are your core fundamental strongest skill sets. And you can go with, there will be a lot of opportunities in the market for Golden Gate, and there will be a lot of on-site opportunities for the Golden Gate. If you are a Golden Gate expert, there will be a lot of opportunities in the US and Canada market, and there will be a lot of opportunities in the Gulf market for the Golden Gate expert. Right, so you have to choose where you want to, who you want to explore. You want to go for the other Oracle vendors, other Oracle products like Exadata, Golden Gate, OEM as my strongest skill set, or I can go with application side EBS, OBI, PeopleSoft, SOA, along with the core fundamentals. And again, also you can expand your skill set. Okay, I'm done with the database and RAC. I'm very good at that. I can go ahead and explore my skill set into OCI or AWS. Right, this is your again fundamental strongest skill sets. So once you expand here, you can spend a couple of years in those fields, and you can learn in and out. And again, look for some other new technologies. So you have to keep learning and enhancing your skill set so that you'll get a lot of opportunities in the market and your resume will be stronger and you can get any new job opportunities by all these technologies.
Malik, does AWS support Oracle RAC? I mean,
No.
do they have this? No. Only or a single instance, right?
Right.
At this moment. Okay.
Right.
So I mean, for Oracle Cloud will be the best thing for
Yes, Oracle
deploying
Cloud
RAC.
is the one which you must support your RAC and standalone. Your AWS and Azure are all standalone. AWS and Azure will be single instance. Very soon they're gonna allow that. Again, there's some hack where even in AWS and Azure you can set up your Oracle rack, but which is not supported, and you any issue with Oracle will not support. But you can do some hack and you can do the setup.
Okay. So it
All right.
is for Oracle, you're working as your core Oracle DB. I think it's better to learn OCA rather than OCI rather than AWS, right? I mean, that
Right.
will be
Any
the right
one
path.
cloud vendor you will learn, you can easily click in. Like for example, my cloud, I learned very cloud support was OCI. So I worked on one of the migration project from on-premises to Oracle Cloud. And once I learned Oracle Cloud, and immediately after next year, I got a chance to work on AWS. I learned AWS RDS database and other stuff. And I did not get any challenges learning AWS since I had that Oracle OCI foundation. So I can easily learn or pick up that AWS, and I completed AWS certificate as well. So for now, you can choose any one cloud vendor, either AWS or Oracle, and you can easily learn the other cloud vendor without any issue. So since we are Oracle DBA, better to go with Oracle Cloud. Once you learn Oracle Cloud, you can easily pick up the other cloud based upon the need. If you have got any new project on the AWS, if you already learned Oracle Cloud, you can easily enhance your skill set to AWS Cloud in few days. Because all the
So you
cloud,
need to understand the component and services they are available in OCI, right? It's not only the database side, right?
yeah,
I mean, you
fundamental
need
thing
to
is
overall.
fundamental thing is you have to understand what is VPC, virtual private network, what is gateways, what is routers, and how this networking concept works. Like many people, let's think here. What is cloud? Many people, in simple definition, for my understanding, I'll give a simple definition for the cloud. If you want to learn cloud, understand the cloud concept, you have to think on concentrate only two ideas. One is networking, and the other one is storage. Networking meaning how much incoming traffic, how much outgoing traffic, and what are the various layers of security protocol, like your firewall, your VPC, virtual private network, your gateways, routers, and your netmask, subnets. Once you're able to understand this networking, and once you're able to understand the storage, like you have a storage archival server, block server, your buckets, and your cold tier, hot tier. What are the different storage concepts? If you're able to understand this storage concept and networking concept, you are strongly go in depth and understand these two concepts. Then other than that, whatever cloud vendor you go, it's all about service, database as a service, and they call it as a different names for the different services. And once you strong at this fundamental networking and storage concept, you can work in any cloud environment. Those are the two fundamental things you have to be very, very concentrating on.
Okay, so if it will be an advantage to learn OCI, right? I mean, working as an Oracle RAC DBA,
Right.
and if you will know OCI, so getting an
That's correct.
opportunity will be more easy, right?
Right. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, hi Malik, this is Pawan. If you want to do any certification, okay, how much level this course going to help me?
Right. There are, again, as I told, let's say, I told about this one. Right. So your DBA 19C, Admin 1, 19C, Admin 2. These are the two certificates. If you are a core DBA working as 1 to 4 years of experience, we have DBA 1Z0, 082, and then 83. These are Oracle OCP certificate. Once you complete our database course, you should be able to complete this 1Z0, 82, 83 database certificate. That's the OCP certificate. That's the 19C Admin 1, 19C Admin 2 certificate. Once you complete this RAC course, we have 1Z0, 074, I believe, 74 or 75. This is a RAC certificate. You should be able to complete your RAC certificate after this RAC course. So these three certificates are must for any DBS, because on top of these two courses, database and RAC courses, like 1 to 4 years, or for this RAC course, it will be like 5 to 8 years. You can work as Oracle DBA and RAC DBA, 1 to 8 years of experience, 1 to 4 for database, and 5 to 8 for RAC. And in order to complete this DBA and RAC course, you have to complete this 1Z082 and 83, that is 19C Admin 1 and Admin 2 certificate. And for the RAC, 1Z074, that's a RAC certificate. Once you complete these 3 certificates, that's more than enough for working as any client or any vendor. On top of that, it is all your advanced skills. You want to go for EBS, EBS has a separate certificate. You want to go for Exadata, Exadata has a separate certificate. You want to go for Golden Gate, Golden Gate has a separate certificate. You want to go for OEM, it has a separate certificate. You want to go for OCI, OCI has its own separate certificate. AWS has its own separate certificate. So for any DBA to work on any client, these 3 certificates are must. Admin 1 and Admin 2 for 19C, and RAC certificate 1Z0074 or 75. You can able to complete this RAC certificate after completion of this course.
Can we go to
Malik,
directly to OCP without completing OCA?
There is no OCI in your
OCA,
11G.
OCA, Oracle.
Yeah, there is no OCA.
Yeah.
In 11G and 12C, we had 2 certificates, OCA and then OCP.
Yeah.
So we had 2 certificates in 11G and 12C, and 19C onwards, no more OCA. Directly OCP. You have to run these 2 exams.
Malik, shall we complete RAC course without completing the DBA course, directly the RAC course?
No. Like you already working as a DBA?
So we have to.
No, if you're already
Yes, I
working
am
as
working
a DBA,
already as a DBA, but instead of.
yeah, you can go for it. If you're already working as a DBA, you
Because
know
we have to.
you know the no, once again, you're already working as a DBA, you know the core fundamental architecture for database. You don't need to go for database course. You can directly go for RAC.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions, guys, before we wrap it up for today?
Do you take Golden Gate classes also, Malik?
No.
No. Okay.
Malik sir, Suresh here.
Yeah.
So with the 20 GB RAM, can we practice the like standalone activities, data card activities like that, other activities also in our setup, lab setup?
Right. For example, like this is the highest RAM, 20 GB RAM for 2 node rack setup. You have 2 node rack setup here, database 1 and database 2 here. For that, you need this minimum 20 GB RAM. So if your laptop is supporting for this rack, then you can practice your Golden Gate, you can practice your standalone, you can practice your data guard. All of them can be done, but you have to run only one lab at a time. If you're practicing your rack, you have to run only rack labs. After that, you have to shut down your rack. You have to open your standalone, practice that. After that, you have to shut down. You can go for Golden Gate or the data guard, practice that. You have to run only one set of a lab at any time. You cannot run your rack labs. You cannot run your data guard lab. You cannot run your standalone lab at together. Your laptop will crash. Right?
Okay, got it. Thanks, sir.
Malik, how much RAM required to run all these setups together? Is it 64 GB will be sufficient?
32 GB is the best one.
Best. Okay. If you're more than that, then fine, right? I know that will
Yeah.
be also.
32 GB is the
okay.
minimum one. You can run 2 node rack setup and 2 node data guard setup together. 4 servers you can run it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can make it as a 2 node prod and you can make it 2 node DR. So you can run your 4 servers with a 2 node rack setup each. Production and data guard with a 32 GB RAM.
And one of them we can make DNS in 4 of them, right? Okay.
Right. Yeah, 32 GB. If you are planning to buy a new laptop, and you can go for 32 GB RAM, and SSD hard disk, we need a minimum of 100 GB for 2 node rack setup. You're doing a 4 node rack setup, you need a 200 GB SSD. I'm talking about if you're planning for 2 plus 2, you're doing this 2 node. Like for this 2 node, you need 100 GB hard disk, and for this one, you need 100 GB hard disk. If you have minimum 200 GB SSD and minimum 32 GB RAM and 200 GB SSD, and you can run 2 to 4 node rack setup, 2 node primary and 2-node rack, and you can practice all the data guard, all the DR concept and all those things. Right.
Malik, I already joined the DBA course, okay, which you started on week back. Can I join this RAC parallelly?
Yeah, again, as I told, you are new to this Oracle world.
No, already working on DBA.
Then you can.
But my laptop configuration only 16 GB it has, which is not extendable. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, again, like as I told, right? If your intention is to learn the concept, get the new opportunities, then go for this course. And you want to do a practice, you have enough time, then first you upgrade your laptop and then register for this RAC. Because without hands-on, it will be very, very difficult to remember the concepts.
Okay.
Like if you're okay that I'm okay to watch the sessions and see the whatever demo I'm doing it, and you can prepare your own notes and then I can practice it later, then go for this course.
Okay, if I can enroll now, okay, and in upcoming batch also I can attend, right? If I don't practice now.
You can do that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Malik, will the data guard installation be covered in any of your DB course or RAC course, or a separate
database
topic
course has
in
that.
future?
No, database course has that data guard setup and data guard understanding. We covered as part of the DBA course. And also last month, last RAC batch, I have given some extra session on the data guard. I have shown rack to rack data guard setup, rack to standalone data guard setup. All those recorded sessions are available. Probably you can watch them.
Okay, Malik, I already have registered for your RAC course, but I got the link only for one batch recording, it seems 11 or something like that. So, but it is not included there. So can you please share me the link?
I'll do that one. Yes, you can ping me in our group. I think you are part of the WhatsApp group, right? We can ping over there.
Yes, I am Arvind. I am already part of the group.
Okay, ping me that question there. I can provide you that link.
Okay, thank you.
Malik, do you cover a little bit of performance tuning?
No,
I
already told you. No, that's a separate course. Anything on the performance tuning, it will be a separate course.
Or do you take that course?
No, we're starting it in Jan, or mid of the Jan.
This performance tuning, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it like covering both database performance tuning plus SQL tuning, or only DB tuning? Both, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we're on time. So we'll wrap it up. So we'll continue tomorrow.
Yes, Malik. Last question regarding OEM. So in OEM, what are the things we are going to cover in this course?
No, nothing. We're not going to cover anything on OEM. No OEM, no Golden Gate, no data guard, and no wallets. We'll not be covering anything. So anything you can just go over this course curriculum here. I already shared the link. So what are the topics?
Yeah, Mali, at least can you cover this switch over and switch back activities, how it works in RAC?
We already have the sessions. Last batch already conducted. There are already recorded sessions. You can watch them. So I showed that rack to rack setup and the switch over, switch back. I've given live demo on that. You can just watch that. Okay, again, anything new I wish to cover it, because it's already covered in the previous batch, so you can just watch the recording. That's more than enough. All right. With that, let's wrap it up. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow, let's explore more understanding on the RAC architecture, some RAC networking, and RAC file system. Where is my control file? Where is my SP file? Where is my data files? And what are my password files? Where they're located? And what are the networking involved in it? Public, private, scan? What's the standalone versus RAC? And what is this great infrastructure, ASM, RAC, and Oracle High Availability Service? Few of the concepts we'll explore in tomorrow's demo session. And feel free to join tomorrow's sessions, and we'll go some in-depth knowledge on this RAC architecture part. All right. Any more questions before we wrap it up for today?
No, Malik. We're good. Thank you so much.
All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Is it possible to do the database course and the RAC at the same time?
If you are working as a DBA, you know the basic foundation for the database, then you can do both the database and RAC simultaneously, no issues. But if you are new and first you need to learn the database course, and after that you can enroll for the RAC.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Let's take a break. Happy weekend. Let's continue tomorrow for the further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Malik.
Thank you all.
Bye.